All right, good evening. Sorry, I was a little bit late logging on, but let's get going. Let's get right into it. So let's go and start on our backs. Okay, so just finding a comfortable position. So if you want to stretch, you can bring the bottoms of the feet together, knees out wide. Okay, or if you want to be super relaxed and you want to go into more of a shavasana, like legs straight position, you have that option. Okay, or you can go feet wide, knees together. So whatever position works for you this afternoon, just closing down those eyes, breathing in and out through the nose. Just noticing that rise and fall of the belly, of the chest, each inhale and each exhale. Just letting yourself focus on that breath. Letting yourself relax into the mat, feeling really supported by the ground. Just letting yourself feel really heavy into the mat. Just notice if the mind starts to wander. Just notice it and then come right back to that breath. It might happen over and over and over again. That's okay. And now bring those knees together if they're not already there. We're going to hug that right knee into the chest. Just let that left leg slide down so it's straight on the mat. We'll straighten that leg out. We'll interlace those fingers behind the hamstring. So flex that foot, press that heel up. We're going to press that leg into that hand and then start to draw that leg a little bit closer to you. So feeling that stretch through that hamstring, maybe into that calf. The more we flex the foot, the more we'll feel it in the calf. And we'll start to bring that knee to the shoulder. Bring that right arm inside that knee in front of the shin, reach that outside edge of the foot. We're going to go into that half happy baby. If this is a little bit too aggressive for you to start out, bend into that left knee and plant that foot down. Think about pulling that knee down right outside the shoulder, extending through that leg a little bit more. And then we'll rebend into that left knee, cross that right ankle over that thigh, and then hug that hamstring, or maybe you grab onto that shin. Just try and keep that tailbone down, chest lifted, spine is nice and flat on the mat. Now from here, lower the left foot down. Left ankle stays over that knee. Left hand reaches for that right ankle, kind of that crease where the ankle and the shin meet. Now we're going to drop the knees and that foot over to that left side. So right shoulder stays down. So that we're going to pull that ankle towards us a little bit. We're not really moving that foot, but kind of leveraging it towards us as we press that knee, the right knee, away from us. So not just kind of with your muscles, push that knee away. So be a little bit of a stretch through that outer hip. Let's bring that knee back up, and then we'll drop both knees over to that right side. This time that left shoulder stays down. Switching sides, bring those knees back up. Go and hug that left knee into the chest. That right leg extends out. And then we'll extend that left leg up. So flex that foot. Pressing that hamstring into the hands at first, and then draw that leg in a little bit closer. Maybe pull it in a little bit more as that hamstring starts to loosen up. Now we'll go into that half happy baby. So that knee comes to that shoulder. Arm comes inside the knee, out front of the shin, outside edge of the foot. Again, if you need to bend into that left knee to kind of ease out of that stretch a little bit, you can. But if you want that big stretch, straighten that leg out and then extend that left leg, the left foot, the left leg, that's what I'm trying to say, out a little bit more. Couple more breaths. Now let's rebend that right knee, cross that ankle over it, go into that resting pigeon, then grab onto that hamstring or maybe that shin, tailbone draws down, foot is nice and flexed as we hug that knee in a little bit closer. Now let's lower that right foot down. Right hand reaches for that right ankle, and then we'll drop the knee and the foot over to that right side. Now leverage that foot towards you a little bit more, and then point that knee up towards the ceiling, again, keeping that left shoulder down. Hold it here for a few more breaths. And let's bring that leg back up. And then drop both knees over to that left side. Right shoulder stays down. Another breath. And then bring those knees back up. Go and uncross it. Hug those knees in. And rock forward and back. We'll come up to that seat. Sitting up nice and tall. Legs are crossed. Reaching those arms up. And exhale, we'll twist it over to that right side. Sit really tall on that inhale. Exhale. Deeper into that twist. Inhale, bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. And exhale it over to that other side. And inhale, bring it back to center. Let's just go ahead and roll over onto those hands and knees. Nice flat back, few cat-cows. So inhale, drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, round that spine, press the shoulder blades away, draw that belly up and in. Again, 2 more times. If you want to add sways from side to side, if there's any extra movements you feel like you need, maybe even quick child's poses or toe stretches. There's no right or wrong way to move here. And then we'll bring it back to that neutral spine. Go and step the feet back to a plank and then hips up, downward facing dog. So pressing those hips up towards the ceiling, pressing those heels down towards the mat. Maybe a few breaths, pedal those feet out. And really stabilizing through those shoulders. So we'll start with the palms. Spread those fingers out, pressing into the heels of the hands, the palms, the fingertips, and then pull those forearms towards each other, nice and strong through the shoulders. We'll press that tailbone up, press those heels down. And we'll step those feet up to the top of the mat, finding that flat back on that inhale. Exhale, fold. Just let that head hang heavy. And bend into those knees, rise up to standing, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, that side bend over to the right. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale those hands down as we fold. Flat back on that inhale. And now exhale, keep that flat back. Lower the hands down. So you might have to bend the knees a little bit more. Let's take a big step back with that left foot. So we're in that lunge. We're going to twist. Right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Stepping those feet back to a plank. As we lower, inhale, lifting that chest. So cobra, or maybe you're ready for an upward facing dog. Exhaling those hips up and back, downward facing dog. And now we'll inhale, step that left foot outside that left hand. So a little bit wider stance with those feet in that lunge position. That chest pulls forward, back leg is nice and strong. Right knee pulls away from the ground as those hips press down towards the ground. One more breath. Then we'll step that right foot outside that right hand. Sink those hips down into that squat. Nice flat back. And hold it here for another breath. And then we're going to rise up out of it. So we're going to come up onto those toes. Little bit of balance. And so reach up tall, tight through the core, through the legs. One more breath. And then lower those feet down. Turn the feet parallel. And then fold. Find that half lift. We'll go to the other side. We're going to take a big step back with that right foot into that lunge. Right hand plants twisting, left arm reaches up. Lower the hands down. Step it on back to a plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift that chest up. Your choice, cobra or up dog. And exhale those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feet a little bit close together. And then step that right foot outside that right hand. Really strong through those legs. Hips press down, chest pulls forward. One more breath. Now we'll step that left foot outside that left hand. Sink those hips down. Come into that squat. And hold it here for another breath. Nice flat back. And then we'll press out of it. We'll come up onto those toes, finding that balance. Pulling those ankles in. So we want the ankle lines to be nice and straight, not bowing out at all. And then lower those heels down. Bring the feet parallel as we fold. Find that flat back. And exhale, fold. Just let that head hang nice and heavy. Another breath or two. And we'll bend into those knees, lengthen out that spine. Then we're going to take that big step back with that left foot. Plant that left hand down as we twist. Right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Step it back to a plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift. Exhaling those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now we'll step that left foot outside the left hand. Good. Pause it here in this lunge, opening up through those hips. Now we'll step right foot outside the right hand. Sink those hips down, chest lifts. And then we'll press up out of it, come up onto those toes, reach up nice and tall, core tight. And then lower those heels down and fold. Finding that flat back. Big step back with that right foot. Plant that right hand, twisting, left arm reaches up. Lower the hand down, step it back to plank, and down. Inhale, lift, and exhale those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now we'll step that right foot outside that right hand. Good, pause here. And we'll step left foot outside the left hand. Sink the hips down. Knees pressing out, back is nice and flat. And then we'll press, rise up out of it, reaching up nice and tall. And lower those heels down. Bring those feet parallel as we fold. One more breath. And now plant those hands down, step those feet back to a plank, moving through your vinyasa. So lower, inhale, lift. And exhaling the hips to down dog when you're ready. And we'll come onto the toes. Bend those knees. We're going to step those feet again a little bit wider. So in that squat stance, turning the toes out, heels in just slightly, sink those hips down. So try not to go wherever that lowest point is. Try and lift up a little bit higher. So a little bit more activation through those legs, pressing those knees out, breathing. Try not to push the elbows into knees. Try and use those glutes to press those knees out a little bit wider. So 3, 2, and 1. Just lower those hands down. Straighten those legs as we fold. Maybe give it a little sway from side to side. That might feel good. Good. Inhale, lengthen out. Actually, so you guys stay the same way. I just want to be able to see you guys or see the screen when we do this. Find that flat back. We're going to take that big step back again with that left foot. Plant that left hand, twisting. Right arm reaches up. Now lower that hand down. Inhale, we'll rise up into that crescent lunge. So we're going to start with that back heel lifted. Sink into that front knee. Core stays tight. Now from here, back heel's going to spin down. We're going to open up into a warrior two so that the right toes are pointing forward. That heel is intersecting the arch of that back leg. Big bend into that front knee. Core stays tight. Reaching through those fingertips. Then we'll lower that right forearm down. Left arm reaches up overhead. Big reach through those fingers. Then inhale, rise back up. Straighten that front leg. Flip that palm. Reach it up and back. And then we'll re-tee out those arms, re-bend into that front knee, come back to that warrior one. Now maybe you lower that forearm down or you can slide that hand down a little bit further. Keep that chest open, reaching through those left fingers. Now we're gonna circle that left hand down. We're gonna travel to that long edge of the mat. String those toes out at angles. Let's lunge into that left knee, so it'll be the back of the mat. If you wanna bring those hands up to heart center, make it a little bit more challenging, you can. Then we'll come over to that right knee. And hold it for a breath. And then come back to center. Turn those toes and heels out, flat back, and fold in that wide-legged fold. Okay, bend into the knees, flat back, rise back up, pivot, turn that right toe forward. We're gonna keep that leg straight this time. Maybe just a soft bend in that knee. Reach that hand forward, lower that hand down, and then reach that left arm up towards the sky. And circle that hand down, stepping that right foot back, moving through that vinyasa. And then hips back, downward facing dog. And now we'll make our way up to the top of the mat. Flat back on that inhale. Exhale, fold. This time we'll take that big step back with that right foot. Plant that right hand as we twist. Left arm reaches up. Now lower that hand down. Inhale, both arms are gonna reach up. We're in that crescent lunge, bending into that front knee. Keep that core nice and tight. And that back heel will spin down. We'll tee out those arms into that warrior two. So really reach through those fingers, core is tight, torso is nice and tall. And one more breath. Then we'll lower that left forearm down, scoop that right arm up overhead. Really strong through those legs, gripping with those toes, lifting through those arches. Good, inhale, we'll rise back up. Straighten that front leg, flip that palm, reach it up and back. And now reach out the arms, bend into that front knee. So back to our warrior two. And we can lower that hand down to the forearm, or you can lower the hand all the way down to the inside of the foot. Again, reaching that right arm up overhead, rotating that chest open, reaching through the right fingers. We'll circle that hand down, traveling to the long edge of the mat. Turning those toes out just slightly, lunging into that right knee. Yeah, then we'll come back to center. Let's go over to that left knee. Bring it back to center. Turn those toes in, heels out, nice flat back on that inhale. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, slightly in the knees, flatten out that back. Go ahead and rise back up. Pivot, turn the left toes out. Tee out those arms. And that front leg is straight, but we don't want it locked out. We want a soft bend in that knee. Reach that hand forward first. Hand comes down towards the shin or maybe all the way down towards the ground. Reaching that right arm up. Core tight. So again, not a lot of weight in that left hand. We really want to be reaching up with that right arm, strong through the legs, strong through that core. And then we'll circle those hands down. Step that foot back to our plank and vinyasa. And we'll exhale those hips back into that child's pose. So those knees can be a little bit wider as we soften that head down, or maybe even that chin down towards the mat. If we want a little bit more opening through that upper back. And then come back up to those hands and knees. Step it back to plank. Then, oops. Back to downward facing dog. We're gonna bring that right knee towards that right wrist. Foot comes across. We're making our way into our pigeon. Sliding that left leg back a little bit more. Lower onto those forearms. And just rest that head down. So you can stack the fist and rest your head onto your hands, or if you want to bring your forearms side by side and rest your head that way, you have that option. So just whatever feels better on the shoulders. Even though this might be a really big stretch through the hips, you want to find as much relaxing and softening as you can. So really focus on that breath. then come up onto those hands. And we're gonna make a little turn here. So roll over, not over, I'll just roll onto that right hip. Let's see this. So, sorry, this one's complicated. Okay, so with that pigeon, roll off to that right hip. We're gonna slide that right leg, that right foot forward a little bit, so that shin and then the knee is making a 90-degree bend. Okay, then we're gonna slide. Hold on, wait till she gets all the way. We're gonna slide that left leg forward, so we're kind of in a straight. Our left hip is extended, so it's in a nice straight line, and then our left knee is bent. You're in the way. Now we're gonna twist it around. Okay. Now you might just stay on your hands. This might be a really big twist, or you can lower down onto those forearms. Okay, so that chest is gonna pull forward, elbows are pulling back. So we're finding a lot of length and stretch right here through this left side. Nice and tall through that spine. Pull those shoulders back. Couple more breaths. And then slowly make your way out of it. Let's just go ahead and untwist it. So if you want to go back to a down dog, you can, but you just want to come back to child's pose, where, not child's pose, pigeon on the other side. So just bring that left shin across, and then you can just swing that right leg back. So not your traditional way of getting into it, but it's an option. So just making your way into pigeon on that other side. Your choice. It's the easiest way for you. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and lower down or rest that head down onto those hands. Pull that left knee back. Right knee's pulling forward. Just stabilizing through those hips. And then slowly come back onto those hands. Again, we'll sit off to that left hip. Okay. Bring the left foot forward a little bit, and then slide that right leg forward a little bit more. Okay, so again, just extend it out through that right hip. 90-degree bend through the left hip and knee. And then we'll twist it around. Okay. You can stay on your hands if you're feeling that stretch, or you can lower down onto those forearms and just draw those elbows back. Chest pulls forward. And breathe. And slowly release. Just go ahead and come onto your backs. Now let's have both those knees in. Since we did those half happy babies earlier, let's do that full. So bring those knees out to the shoulders, reach that outside edge of the foot, tailbone pulls down, and then we'll extend. So bottoms of the feet are pointing up towards the ceiling, we're drawing those knees down outside the shoulders. That tailbone pulls down so it's nice and flat. So if you feel like your hips are really rounded, you might have to bend into those knees a little bit more. Really glue that tailbone down, and maybe just extend the legs just a tiny bit. So there could still be a pretty big bend in those knees. Okay, if you're feeling like you want a little more or a lot more stretch, keep that tailbone grounded down. Pull those knees down towards the mat first, and then start to extend those legs out. So a little bit bigger stretch through those hip flexors, or your hip flexors through your hamstrings. And then go ahead and lower those feet down. Go into just one final hip bridge here. So drawing the shoulder blades together, low back is flat on the mat. Grip those toes, balls of the feet and heels. Thanks, rotating that tailbone up. And so just lifting those hips. Then we'll roll up one vertebrae at a time. Keep that core nice and tight, extending out through those hip flexors. Good, and start to roll it back down. Let's hug that right knee into the chest. The left leg extends out long. And then that left hand will guide that knee across the body. Right arm reaches out. Right shoulder blade stays flat on the mat. Bring that knee back to center. Switching sides. Hug that left knee in. Right leg extends out. And twist that knee across. Bring that knee back to center. Hugging both knees into the chest. Round that spine, bring the forehead to the knees. We'll extend those legs out, reach those arms overhead, full body stretch, fingertips all the way down through those toes. And bring those arms down by the sides, palms will face up, shoulder blades will walk together. Take a big breath in through the nose and exhale it out. Let yourself completely rest here for the next few minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Just gently begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And reaching your arms overhead, full body stretching from the fingertips all the way down through those toes. Draw those knees into the chest. Gently roll over onto that right side. Just let that right arm support the head. Left arm just falls in front, completely resting on your side. And then pressing yourself up into that comfortable seat. Keeping those eyes closed. Just go into that cross-legged position. Hands are resting on those knees. Sitting nice and tall. Just a few breaths here. Blinking those eyes open. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your evening. And then tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., we have 25-minute power yoga. So a little bit more core focus. So hope to see you all there. Otherwise, have a good one.